Hello everyone, in this week's video I'm going to be drawing one of my viewers' original characters. So let's get started. The character I'm drawing today is Caleb. He is part cat and likes skateboarding. So let's start drawing Caleb. So this I Draw Your OC video is a little different than previous videos. Usually I randomly pick a character from either a social media post or from one of the emails that you all send me. This illustration was actually commissioned, so I was paid to draw this illustration. I recently started accepting commissions. All of the info for my commission pricing is on my website. There's a link to it in the description. And so yeah, that's really exciting, and I was really excited that they wanted me to draw their character for them. And they said they were okay with me including this footage in a video, so I thought I would make a video out of it because I was really happy with how this picture turned out. But don't worry, I'll still be doing these I Draw Your OC videos for free. I'll still pick from my email or social media posts. But since this is kind of one of my first commissions of drawing someone else's character, and because they're okay with me showing it in a video, I thought I would share this all with you. So a bit about this picture, I am drawing Caleb, and right now I'm in the line art phase. Usually I show myself sketching the picture, like my rough sketch and my cleanup sketch and all that stuff. But since this was a commission, I really wanted to take my time with the sketching phase and just getting everything correct and getting as many different references as I wanted and putting them into the canvas and just trying to make sure everything was right. And sometimes when I record myself drawing, I get like a little bit nervous and like I sometimes feel like I have to go fast even though I don't really have to. So I didn't start recording until I reached the line art phase, because once I start doing the line art, I have pretty much everything in place. One of the really tricky parts about drawing Caleb was his pose. I was having a really hard time with his pose, especially the leg on the skateboard. So as you can kind of see right now, he's kind of standing on the skateboard and the skateboard is kind of doing a wheelie, but he's not like moving. He's kind of standing on like the back of it and making the top part pop up. And then he has his other leg. The front leg that's upwards is the one I was having so much trouble with. I actually kind of asked the commissioner about this, and they knew a lot about skateboarding and I know nothing about skateboarding, so they kind of sent me pictures and told me what the correct technique was. And so I tried to get the leg to look the best that I could and I tried my best. Eventually I was able to get the leg to look pretty good, so I was happy about that. Caleb was a really fun character to draw though. I really liked getting to draw his ears, and his hair is like super kind of long, and his hair was a lot of fun to draw. And for the background, it is taking place in a skate park. This was kind of tricky. I don't know much about skate parks, but thankfully the commissioner did send me a lot of reference pictures. And in the reference pictures they sent me, there kept being like this huge tunnel-like thing, and I really liked that, so I included it in the picture, and I thought it would really help fill up the background a bit because Caleb's on the right side, so I wanted something to fill up the left side, and so I put the tunnel on that side. And then in the background on the right, I have kind of one of those ramps. You can only see the left side of it, so it kind of just looks like this wall thing with some railing on top of it, but it's one of those ramps that they're kind of a U-shape sort of thing. And then in the far background, I have some lights because I kept seeing like tall lights in the different references I had. And I also put some railing. And then I have this little rail thing that, you know, people kind of like put the skateboard on. I don't know all the terms. And then for the distant background, I have some foliage. And then I also used one of the default backgrounds from Clip Studio because I kept trying to draw a background, but like it just kept not turning out right, and so I just tried plopping one of the default ones from Clip Studio, and I thought that looked kind of nice. I did ask the commissioner if they were okay with this, and they thought it looked nice, and they liked how it looked, so I decided to use that for the really far background. So after doing all the line art, I did the base coloring. I kind of skipped over that because it's not that fun watching me fill in the colors. I was a little worried about this background because I was like, okay, Caleb is gray because he has kind of like fur for his skin, but the cement on the ground is also gray, so I was like, oh my word, that's gonna be a lot of gray. I don't want Caleb to blend in. But then I started looking at different concrete colors, and I noticed there was quite a lot of concrete that's kind of more of a tannish a warm gray, and so for the background I used a warm gray, and then Caleb is more of a cool gray. That way he doesn't blend into the background too much. I also put a ton of graffiti onto the tunnel. I thought that would make things a little bit more fun and interesting and just make things kind of cool. Basically, I would just make graffiti normally on a different canvas, and then I would warp it and transform it onto the tunnel. I kind of wish I would have shown that process, but I didn't record myself when I was doing that. So now I'm starting to shade Caleb. I'm just going in and trying to figure out where I want the basic shadows to be. And I start by shading his skin. So the lighting situation in this picture, it's daytime and the sun is kind of in the upper left area. A lot of my pictures recently have been either taking place at nighttime or at sunset, and I did think about having this picture take place at sunset, but then I was like, I've been doing a lot of sunset pictures and nighttime pictures, so I decided to go with a daytime setting just because I thought that'd be kind of fun and change things up, and it also just makes the picture feel kind of happy. And I wanted it to feel kind of like a happy picture. Caleb's outfit is super duper cool, and it has a ton of different details in it, like his bracelets and the suspenders and his t-shirt. And it was a lot of fun getting to shade all these different elements, and also his shoes. His shoes are so detailed. I am not the best at drawing shoes, so I was trying really, really hard to get these shoes right and to make them correct. Now I'm starting to shade the wrinkles on his outfit, and you probably know this if you watch my videos. I love shading wrinkles, and so I loved shading Caleb at this part because like his shorts were kind of loose, so they made all the wrinkles, and then his t-shirt had tons of wrinkles, and it was just a lot of fun. So I start by taking a dark color, and then I kind of put where I want the shading to go, and then I take the blending tool and then I blend out the shadows, and I also kind of use the eraser to lighten some of the shadows in some areas and kind of just help blend them out a bit. And then I'm also going in and just kind of adding big blocks of shadow. I was really kind of nervous about shading his legs and pelvis area. I always have a hard time shading that area. Then after doing all of the dark colors, I go in and start adding the highlights. I used a lightish gray color and just add highlights wherever I want the wrinkles to look like they're bumping out more, or where the light is hitting a bit more. I also try to add quite a lot of highlights because his clothing is so dark. That's the thing about dark clothes, you can't shade them a whole bunch with shading, so I try to add more highlights to add more contrast. Now I'm kind of moving back to the background, and I'm trying to shade the kind of like pipe area where it goes, the ramp area. What would you call that? It like goes downwards. I was having a really hard time making that look like it was like a hill and going downwards. I kind of fixed this later on, but I was having a really hard time with it right here. Right here I'm adding a cast shadow for Caleb. I kind of just make a shape that's similar to him, and then I transform it and put it on the ground. So that's a really easy way to make a cast shadow. I tried my best to keep moving back and forth between Caleb and the background because a lot of me just wanted to shade only Caleb because he's kind of the fun part to do all the shading on. But then I'm like, no, I should move back to the background, and I was trying to keep myself motivated and just not focus only on Caleb. And it's also a lot easier to shade Caleb if I have more of an idea of what's going on in the background. So yeah. Now I'm starting to add more of the highlights. I also add a slight blue highlight on the right side of him just to make things look kind of cooler. And I always just like adding reflective light, so I have the yellowish light on the left side, and then I have the bluey light on the right side. I also added a bit of texture to the tunnel and to the ramp area, and I also added a wood texture to the back ramp just to give things a little bit more detail. I also added a slight blue fog to the background. I used a mixture of blue and white, and I did this because I wanted things to feel like they were getting further in the distance. I didn't want our focus to be on those things in the background, so by kind of adding that bit of fog, it kind of draws our eye more towards Caleb and the foreground. Next, I'm starting to work on Caleb's hair, and Caleb's hair is super cool because it has like these red areas and blue areas. He has like red and blue stripes in his hair. And so that was a lot of fun getting to add that pop of color. And I actually almost forgot about the red and blue as I was shading his hair. I was going to start adding the highlights, and then I was like, wait, he has color in his hair. So I started adding that here. And then after I added the red and blue, I started adding the highlights in the hair. So I just took a whitish color and I set it to add glow. And I started adding a whole bunch of lines in the hair. And I tried to have the highlights be the strongest on the left and get lighter as we go to the right. Now I'm starting to work on some of the smaller details on Caleb, like his eyes. His eyes are really cool. I like how they're green, and he doesn't have much for green in the rest of his color scheme. So his eyes really pop, and he also has a bit of pink inside his ears. Now I'm starting to shade the skateboard a bit. I try to shade the under part quite a bit because that was going to be in shadow. And then I also shade all the different parts on the skateboard. I really liked the stripes on the skateboard. The design of the skateboard was really cool, and I really liked how it incorporated Caleb's colors into the skateboard. I thought that was really neat. Next, I'm starting to do the shading on the shoes. Those were really fun to shade. I got to add all the different colors and highlights to them. In future pictures, I want to maybe try making an illustration where I don't rely on add, glow, and multiply. I rely on layer functions a lot, but sometimes I wonder what my art would look like if I didn't use multiply and add glow. So I maybe want to try doing some studies and color some pictures where I don't use any layer functions. Here I'm adding some more lighting to the picture to give kind of a stronger light source in the upper left. I took some yellow and then made some streaks and then set it to add glow. I'm now kind of working on all of the smaller details in the picture, so just adding shading to more of the areas or more highlights to some of the areas. This is kind of like the nitpicky stage where I kind of keep going back and forth on things and trying new things and just trying to adjust all of the stuff to the way I like it. This process, it can be hard to tell if you're making a difference or not, but like if you look at the picture before you started adding all of the little details and shading, you do kind of see a difference, but as you're doing it, you're like, is this really making a difference at all? But this kind of cleanup phase of adding little details and such is what really kind of brings the picture all together. So here's the finished picture of Caleb. Thank you so much to the Commissioner Ari for letting me draw Caleb and for letting me use the footage in the video. I had so much fun drawing Caleb and working on this picture. Before I end this video, I want to say thank you so much to my patrons, including Rachel, Andrew, Swinky, Vonnie, now from Academy of Games, Luzio, Robert, Tamalan, Pisatera, Anne, Eduardo, AJ, Nikki, Michael, Adam, Narichan, Dan, Panda Bear, Danyo, Dozar89, Aaron, and Patrick. Thank you so much for being a patron and for your support. So thank you all so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all next week in my next video. Bye!